So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, it started to rain on us here a little bit. So here we are in the plaza of One World Trade Center. I can't even see the building because of all the trees. There it is right in front of me. But look at this. This is the memorial. These are where the two buildings stood. This is one of the buildings right here. Before that fateful day. Let's get a look at One World Trade Center here, the new building. Just a little panorama of the area here. So I don't know which building was what yet, building 1 or building 2, but over here is the memorial for one of the buildings. And then just a little bit south is the other memorial for the other building there. Up on top of placards with everybody's name on them. They had turned it into a beautiful memorial park here in honor of the fallen victims. Inside the World Trade Center right now, waiting to do our guided tour. So we'll go in and check it out. So we just got done doing the museum tour. We had a tour guide. I recommend that you pay the extra couple of bucks to get a tour guide. Absolutely heartbreaking, devastating, makes you angry, develops all these emotions through you. I remember where I was, of course. I'm sure everybody does that day. That was alive in. I was in my apartment with a friend of mine who actually was from New York, Jose, and his girlfriend Bonnie. And he knew that I had the TV on during the day, or during the morning or night when I slept, I'm sorry. And first thing I heard him say was, "Is your TV on?" Because relatives of his that were still in New York had called him to let him know what was going on. And he yelled at me to roll over and look at the TV. I happened to have CNN on at the time. And right as I rolled over to look, I could see the first tower with the smoke billowing out of it. And it wasn't too much later that the second plane hit live on TV, because every news organization was focused on the World Trade Centers at the time. And it was just, that was a long day, right? Everybody can remember exactly where they were when it happened. They can remember the emotions that they were going through when it happened. But I highly recommend, if you're in New York City and you're visiting, you take some time out to visit the World Trade Center. So ladies and gentlemen, we are at the North Tower. This was the first tower to be hit. The South Tower is over that way, past that little kiosk there in the middle. And that was the actual second building to be hit. But on here are the names of the people who we lost that day. Because of that division, because of that hatred, all these people had to lose their lives. And that's horrible. That's unthinkable. So right now I'm just going to give you a silent view of the One World Trade Center here and the surrounding buildings. So that is Tower 1. We're gonna walk over the plaza here to Tower 2, which again was the first building to fall down. It was the second building hit, first building to fall down. Our tour guide explained it pretty well. I'm not into the conspiracies around 9/11. The tour guide explained it pretty well, so you understand why they fell. First plane carrying jet fuel. Jet fuel burns hotter than regular gasoline. It hit Tower 1. The jet fuel spilled down columns, had time to burn. It didn't break the metal. It just bent it enough, softened it enough to where it could bend by the weight of the structure on top of it. The second tower, the reason it fell first, they believe, is because it hit at a corner of the building at an angle. where it hit the corner of the building, which damaged the support beams. So because of where it hit, and it was flying faster, so it caused more damage. The first plane was flying a little bit slower, the second plane was flying much faster, so it caused more damage, hit a particular angle of the building where the support beams were, which created the second building to fall a little bit faster. Sounds logical, sounds reasonable to me. I don't even want to hear any more conspiracy theory bullshit. So right now, let's walk through the plaza and go look at the South Tower. Sorry I have gum in my mouth. I've been trying not to do that this past week. But every time I start walking, I don't look to see where there's a garbage can to dump this into. And again, like I said, this is the one that fell first. We're gonna go over here and take a look. So I'm trying to give you a wide shot behind me of the area so you can see the city around the World Trade Center Plaza. See if I can get it behind me here a little bit. The reason I'm doing that is I want you to see the areas where all the smoke went. I should actually have you facing that way. So I'm gonna stand right here. You can look behind me and then I'll show it to you. The building smoke when the towers went down and the debris and everything like that just flooded the city through here. Let's go ahead and take a look down this way. You can see in between the building there, in between these two buildings, that's a street. The debris, the smoke, the ash, everything just flowed through these buildings, through these downtown streets here for miles. I remember watching it live on TV. One thing that the guide pointed out, which I think is kind of necessary for us all to remember, is that there are people still suffering from this. There are people still dying from this. He was talking about a local school that was pretty close to the World Trade Center Plaza here, and that stuff that was in the smoke and the debris, stuff like asbestos and other materials that are harmful to us, and glass particles and stuff like that, were still kind of in the air for the weeks following. People were breathing it in. All the first responders and all the citizens that came to help down here were breathing that stuff in, and a lot of them had died from cancers and breathing problems. And they have set up funds. Thank God Congress finally set up funds to help the victims out of everybody that was around here in this area that day. They definitely need it. He said the fund is set up until 2090 because that's how long they expect some of the people to live that might have been affected by this. 100% understandable. I'm glad they got it. You come down here to help find victims and people that are still in the area in the recovery effort, and you should be taken care of for what you did that day. To all the people in New York, you need to remember that even though it's been, my gosh, 22 years later, we're all still with you. During the guided tour, we were not allowed to use video or take flash photography, so I'm just going to share a couple of the photos that I took during the guided tour down at the World Trade Center Memorial Museum. All right, Mad Troopers, that'll conclude our day. I'm going to go to the corner store and get some Dr. Pepper. Thanks for watching. You are so greatly appreciated. Have a great rest of your night and a better tomorrow. Please click that subscribe button, trip over that like button, and remember, never stop tripping.